Good morning and welcome to Eternity Speaks. I'm your host, Reverend Bill Eggleston. I hope that everyone's had a great week and is doing well. Uh, this week, I'd like to change things up a bit. Generally, I have a message of some sort I'm trying to get across in preparation for a spirit guest. But this week, I'd like to actually answer a couple of questions that I get asked quite a bit. The most common one is, why are you doing this? And what do you hope to gain from doing it? That one usually comes from family members. I've got my whole family kind of confused as to what my reasoning is with all of this, and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And well, the answer is pretty simple actually. I was guided to this. I was asked to do it. That's why I'm here. That's what my purpose is to spread the word of God, and anyone who will listen to it, and to help as many people as I can. Uh, it's really that simple. We're all here for a reason. For some of us, is to teach kids how to read or take care of the sick, or something like that. Maybe it's to fix cars. Just whatever whatever purpose you have, it's going to be whatever you enjoy doing. That's your purpose. You're supposed to go with that. Everyone has a purpose, even if they may not know what it is. The part that gets me about my whole uh, journey here, I guess you could say, is it took me 45 years to realize this. I went through quite a few things before I came to this stage in my life here. I worked in the federal prison system. I was in the Navy. I was in the Air National Guard. Uh, I was in the fire service. All these different things. But what's odd is within every one of those jobs, every one of those adventures that I had, it's always been kind of the same thing. For some reason, I've always been driven to help people. Um, Hence the fire department and the Navy and everything else. But uh, whether it was spiritually or physically, I've always been there for somebody. Um, when I joined the Navy, I became a hospital corpsman. I spent my evenings in the emergency room tending to sick and injured service members and their families, and when I wasn't at work, I was still helping them. I was giving advice or lending a sympathetic ear, or they'd tell me about their problems. Sometimes I didn't even know the person. Uh, I'd literally have strangers knocking on my barracks room door in the middle of the night, uh, just to talk. I didn't know who they were. I knew them in passing. I'd see them in the hall or something, and we might say hello or something like that. But all of a sudden, there they were. They were knocking on my door, and I'm like, What's the matter?" And then they'd tell me about what was going on. Maybe they were having problems in the relationship or problems at work, or they weren't quite sure what to do, but I always had the answer for them, and I don't really know why. Well, I didn't know. I know why now, but I didn't know why. I always had. It was this kind of a strange experience. They'd be telling me about their problem, and then I'd kind of like hear this little voice, and tell them this, tell them that, guide them this way, and then the next thing I know, they're either in tears and happy, or they got their answers. And in some cases, I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even know the person. Um, Sometimes I get up on a Saturday morning and I walk out in the hall, and somebody's smiling, nodding, thanks for talking to me last night. And I was like, really? Okay, no problem. And then I'm thinking, I don't even remember that. I might have been asleep when they walked in and they just started talking. Because basically the rule was if my door was unlocked, come on in, I'm in there. No big deal. If it was locked, then I wasn't there. So, but everybody kind of knew that. So I became the voice of reason for a lot of people. Uh, and that's just something I guess I was meant to do. The only thing that I hope to gain from it is from all this, from the show, from uh, if we're able to get a podcast going, or what else, whatever. The only thing I really hope to gain from it is helping more people. Uh, Social media and the internet is in general is a very powerful pulpit for a minister. Um, and I never intended to start a ministry. That was the last thing I was thinking. I never had any thought even of it. Uh, In fact, I've always been a bit put off by religion in general. Uh, it all just seemed so complicated and strict. I never wanted to be a part of it. And even to this day, I mean, yeah, I'm wearing the shirt with the collar and everything. This is just a standard minister uniform. It doesn't really reflect any specific denomination or anything like that. But um, I I don't belong to any specific church. I consider myself more spiritual than religious. But that's the beauty of it all. Uh, Never did Jesus say that you must belong to a church in order to secure a place in heaven. The church said that. Uh, the church needs you. They need the membership. They need the income. They need and not for nefarious purposes. They need it generally. They still have to operate. There's still operating costs. There's still building maintenance and everything else. So there's a reason for it. But the purpose of a church was not to be all dominating. It was supposed to be just a place that like-minded people can come together to to interact with each other, for to help each other out, for uh, to pray together, to support each other. That's the purpose of a church. But you don't need a church. You don't need the building. Uh, your church is you. Your temple is you. Your relationship with God is just that. It's between you and God. Organized religion tends to complicate things. There are rules. There's scripts that you read back. The minister will say something to you, and then you'll repeat something back, and then you'll say, "Well, that's great the first time or two, but after a while, it kind of begins to lose its meaning a bit." I've been to church and watched this take place, not fully understanding what was going on, not being a part of the church, but just watching the people. The priest would say something, and then people would literally yawn and repeat the word back and like look at their watch. It was weird. I'm like, this isn't for me. This isn't where I want to be. I'm not getting anything from this. It's just repetition. But for some people, that's what church is. That's what they need to keep them going. Um, but that was never for me. Uh, that's all church doctrine. That's the politics of the church, and it's necessary in some aspects, but it kind of overshadows the purpose in other ways. In the end, all that matters is your personal relationship with God. Talk to Him often, and not just when things are going wrong in your life. Uh, Talk to Him about the good times. Thank Him for all that He's done for you and all that He has in store for you. Develop your relationship with God on a daily basis. Don't wait. Don't wait till Sunday to decide to, oh, I should pray. It's Sunday. No. Every day. And you're in your car driving to work. Say a prayer. It's just you. Who you gonna look crazy to? It's if you think about it, you talk out loud. Who cares? People sing in their car all the time. Why not pray out loud? Uh, Never hold fear in your heart. Never hold fear or hate in your heart. Turn your problems over to God. Discuss them with Him. Out loud if you're comfortable with that. Not if not, just have a conversation in your head. Just go back and forth. In your head, even if you have to. But most importantly, in all that is be present in the conversation. If you have a problem, tell him what the problem is. Explain it. He's listening. Uh, Believe in what you're saying, in the fact that God hears you and He loves you and He will take care of you. That's why we have this relationship. Um, but it's just an odd thing, religion in general. It's got a purpose and is different for everybody. Some people just need that little nudge, and other people they live by it. It's all about what resonates with you. But develop your personal relationship with the Lord. That's the most important thing you can do. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the program over to Barry and our spirit guest.
Good morning.
Morning.
Today we're going to hear from St. Anthony. And I know some people were expecting Andrew, but Anthony is a very interesting saint. I don't know if anybody how familiar you are with him, but he helps you find things. And today I think he's going to have a very interesting message for us. Okay? Then we will get started. Good morning, everyone. I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. Today I'm going to speak about finding your path. Now, you all know that there's many paths to heaven. There's not just a single path. There's no church that dominates the single path to heaven. There are many, many ways to get to heaven, as there are many ways for you to find your own personal path to get there. The pathway is lined with good actions. The pathway to heaven is doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. I listen to Barry as he brings the messages of our Lord every week, and that is something that he tells you all the time. It is such a simple message, but it is truly a message that will help you gain the access to heaven that you want. Now, there are many, many paths that will get you to heaven, but they may not get you to the part of heaven that you would like to go to. Our Lord tells us many times that there are 7 realms up here. The higher the realm, the much better it is for your soul. The lower the realm, the worse it is for your soul. It's very simple. Actually, everything about God is very simple. God is love. That's pretty simple. He's not hatred. He's not anger. He's love. There's part of God's energy in the heart of every human. If you can accept that energy, if you can accept the fact that God truly exists, if you can accept the fact that he has angels that will help you, if you can accept the fact that you have guides that will help show you your path, then you will find it. All humans will return to heaven. Death is an absolute certainty. If you live, you will die. Now that sounds kind of blunt, and in many ways it is. But all of you have got to understand that this human life is very, very short. Your soul life is infinite. Now, there are many of you out there that are striving to do the best you can in this human life. That's good. Use the wealth that you gain to help others. You only need so much to be happy. There are people out there that have billions of dollars, inconceivable amounts of money, and they squander it on many things. They squander it on fancy homes, on ships, on trips, staying in the most expensive places in the world, and they do not share their money to help others. Well, I hope they enjoy those lives, because it will be very short, and there will be a time that they will be judged, and the realm that they wind up in may not be as comfortable as they would like. It is not hard to find your path. Pray, ask for guidance. When you pray, every word is heard. Oh, now understand there are many prayers that cannot be answered because they're in conflict with life plans. But there are many prayers, especially those of guidance, that will be clearly heard. And those of us on the other side will help you answer those questions that you have. You can have a very complicated path. In your past, you may have done much to hurt others. Now, that will be something that we will discuss when you get back over. But if you truly understand that what you did was wrong, that now you have the love of God in your heart, from this day forward you're helping others, that you're back on the life plan that we gave you, then much of what you've done in the past will be forgiven. There are women out there that have had abortions. Now, there is no way that loving God would ever tell you to take the life of the unborn, or any life for that matter. If the person having the abortion understands that it was a mistake, and we over here understand the pressures, humans have very difficult lives. Perhaps at that time you felt that there was absolutely no way that you could raise the child and did not truly understand how serious God is about not taking lives. If you understand that, you can be forgiven. Now, when you come to the other side, you may meet the soul of the child that you aborted, and you will have to discuss what you did with that soul. There are penalties for most everything that does not that you do that does not follow the teachings of God. Now, do not think that I'm trying to teach fear to you. God never spoke of fear. He doesn't want you to fear him. He wants you to love him. The path to heaven is paved with love. There are many, many ways to get there. For instance, the Muslim faith is a faith of love. Now, there are those that misinterpret Muhammad's words and show hatred, and they will reap the rewards for that when they return. All of the basic religions have the same basic teachings. It is to love your neighbor, to do unto others as you have them do unto you. I know you're getting tired of hearing it, but it's so true. If you all follow those simplest of teachings, there will be no need for you to ask for forgiveness. I want you to think about an abortion in another way, because this is so critical to God. If you were that soul in the womb, would you like to have had your life taken early? I think not. Everything becomes common sense. If you show anger, others show anger to you. Do you enjoy it when people speak angry? When you hate someone, they hate back. Do you like to be hated? All of these things become so simple when you break it down to the core. Many paths to heaven. You have to find which one suits you. There are also many paths to the lower levels. You do not want to get on those paths, but I know that there are many of you that are finding them. There are many of you that don't even realize that those paths exist. That is why we continuously come to you, and we have Barry bring these messages. He has been sent back to bring you these specific messages. Believe that. He is a messenger of God. There are many of you that don't believe in God, so you don't believe his messages. Well, that leads you to a path to a lower realm of heaven. Find your path. Find a path that helps others, and find a path that truly helps your own soul. I can help you find things. I do it all the time. All of us on this side will help you find things. And hopefully that thing that you find is your pathway to heaven paved with love. I know that many of you think this is incredibly simple, and this cannot possibly be the words of God. The Gospels are very long and they're very complex. What we're hearing is in contrast so often to what is in those Gospels. Well, remember this: throughout time, man has tried to complicate the pathways to heaven. As Bill was speaking earlier, they've inserted religions. The church has had people that wanted power themselves. They were greedy. There are many of the church leaders that are in lower levels because they did not speak of the simplicity of getting to heaven. All you have to do is ask us, and we will help shine the light upon your path. Finding your own path is often very complicated. Ask us for help, we will be there. I hope that my message today may help you. I know that every week our Lord comes to you and gives us a very simple message. We are all over here trying to help humanity. There is so much evil in your current world. Now, we all faced evil when we lived. Evil has been a huge factor throughout time. God has now seen fit to have you learn the technologies to rapidly advance. Humans are now at a point of no return. You have developed technologies that can destroy you, or you have developed technologies that can lead you into the future. Only you can decide how those paths will lead forward. So I know that God is listening to me as I speak today. I know that God is blessing all of you that are listening. So I'm going to leave you. I want to thank Barry for allowing me to speak. I don't get the opportunity that much anymore, so I really appreciate it. So goodbye. God bless all of you. And hopefully pay attention to the simplicity of the message. There is no doubt that it will take you where you want to go. Goodbye. So now you know.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at the simplicity that all of the spirits are speaking. It's so simple, yet people make it so difficult. Next week, we're going to hear from Matthew. I promise that Matthew will be the one that comes, and
Okay.
I assure you that he will have an equally interesting message. So, goodbye, Bill, and we will chat again next week.
All right. Uh, I'm still kind of reeling a little bit from the conversation before the show. Uh, I think I've said it before. A lot of times, well, every time really. um, I don't even know what I'm going to write until the morning of. Um, Usually like an hour or so, hour and a half before the show starts. That's when I'm sitting here writing everything. Well, this morning I had no idea. I was clueless. I tried thinking about it all week, couldn't think of anything. So that's when I decided to change it up a bit, and I went the direction I went. I went with the, what led me to do this, and the questions and everything, and then before the show started, Barry and I were talking a little bit before we went live, and I hadn't said anything yet. He said, "Well, did they tell you what you were going to write this week? Because it always seems to be that way." And I said, "Well," I don't know. I'm not really sure." And he said, "Well," he said, "St. Anthony would like to talk about finding your path and being on the right path." And I didn't even know what to say. I felt myself tearing up a little bit, and I asked Barry, I said, "Are you joking right now?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "That's what I wrote about." I had no idea. I didn't know much about St. Anthony. I tried finding some things out just to kind of get a feel for for who the spirit was, and who I was going to be, who we were going to be hearing about. I tried to research a little bit before, but it was just the weirdest thing. I'm like, I wrote this whole thing out, and what does he want to talk about? Finding your path. I was like, wow. it just it just the way everything works with this show has been pretty eye opening and kind of mind boggling for me. Um, but anyway, away from that, now that I'm recovering from that one, uh, next week we're going to be hearing from St. Matthew, and I'm looking forward to that. Uh, I'll have to do a little more research again to make sure I know what I'm going to do. Uh, but I also want to remind everybody about the website, eternity-speaks.com. All these videos are available on there. They're available on Barry's YouTube page. They're also available on Eternity Speaks YouTube page. Uh, so everything's out there. All the videos that we've done together, and everything that this ministry is about is all of those areas. And I also want to take a minute to ask for some prayer requests that I've gotten. Uh, I've got a friend. Everything seems to come through Facebook for some reason. The hopefully the webpage will take off a little more, and we'll get more through that. But right now, most things are geared toward Facebook. But I got a friend on there, Tammy, that's going through some medical issues right now. I'm not going to get into the details of it or anything, but just ask that you say a prayer for her, keep her in your thoughts, and pray that she has some guidance and help her get through all this. Uh, uh, I know this would be the third week I mentioned Jeff Cool, but he also had some surgeries related to his injuries from Black Sunday. He just had some surgery related to that. Keep him in your thoughts and in your prayers, and keep an eye on the Facebook page for prayer requests on there. We got a lot of things that come through there, and we'll see you again next week. And we'll be speaking to St. Matthew. And have a good week. God bless.